Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back here to the launch pad and back to the roadside at Starbase, where we are counting down T minus 13 hours, 46 minutes, 20 seconds, and counting until the second Starship launch attempt, targeting tomorrow morning, 8:28 a.m. local time here. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name's Zach, and I'm joined by Dakota and Ian. We're here on the roadside, and here at TLP, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, because we believe that space is better together. We wanted to jump down here on the roadside, watch one last sunset with you guys, hopefully before this ship finally leaves Earth, and we wanted to take some time to answer your guys' comments and questions, so you can always send those in the chat by tagging us at the launch pad, and we'll work on answering those live. As we get started, as always, take a moment, let us know in the chat where you're watching from, and share out the stream. It really does help us out. Invite people down for hopefully a last Starship update before a launch just over 13 and a half hours from now. We'll be going live from roughly T-minus 3 hours and counting. We hope you'll join us live for that. And if you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. You're looking at a live view of Ship 24 stacked on top of Booster 7 at the Starship Orbital Launch Facility at Starbase, Texas. Counting down 13 hours, 36 minutes, 40 seconds and counting until launch. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the launch pad. We'll work on answering them in the chat, so just make sure you're tagging us there. Crestfallen is asking what happened to the first attempt. They got down to about 8 minutes or so left on the count. Noticed a overpressurization on the booster, so they decided to rotate into a wet dress rehearsal plan, and then they went all the way down to T-minus 40 seconds and scrubbed for the day. They've been working on the booster ever since. A really crazy active day of activity on the booster and orbital launch mount today, and the orbital launch mount is clear. We've seen some big groups of engineers taking pictures and kind of celebrating and cheering, and a few of them saying that they're feeling really, really confident for an attempt tomorrow, that she's ready. So we're excited to see another attempt tomorrow morning. We hope you'll join us live for our full commentated coverage starting about 3 hours prior to liftoff. We're glad to have you join us for that. Amy's asking, what time does the evac notice go into? I haven't seen this evac notice, but it should be identical to the one we saw previously, which went into effect about 9 p.m., with the full road closure occurring at midnight. Thanks for sending that in. Catching up on questions you guys sent. If you haven't yet, take a moment, share out the stream. Really does help us out. Going to answer some of those questions that you sent in here. Jeremy's asking, what time is the rocket going? They have a launch window from 8:28 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. A 62-minute launch window, so smaller than the 2.5-hour window we had on Monday, but still enough time to get off the ground. Gives them a good amount of time that they can delay and during propellant loading and still have an opportunity to launch. It's not an instantaneous launch window. Yep, we got backups on the 21st, 23rd, 24th, and 25th. We have backup times. I know some of our crew will have to head out should we not go on the 20th or 21st, but I will be staying down here for at least another week, if not more, as we cannot miss this, and we want to bring that to you. But we're hopeful that we will see an attempt here tomorrow. Hey Jody, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Nita, good to see you. Jessica. Yeah, let's not do Sunday. Tomorrow works really well for my schedule. We got it nice and clear. The alarms are set. And our whole crew, well, a good chunk of our crew that wanted to be here is here. And we hope that you will be with us. Yes, we are, Jody. 8:28 a.m. Central Time.
Y'all have something to follow? Everything. We're actually live right now, just pointing at the rocket. We'll be live tomorrow morning. Any other rocket launch you ever want to see? We answer tons of questions as well. We got a pretty great merch store.
Yeah.
With a really good discount right now. So if you want some really cool rocket merch too.
So you do them also in Florida and California as well?
Anywhere globally other than Russia and China, because they're a little bit harder to get into. But some of them we do.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah, check us out.
All right, thanks.
Have a good night, guys.
Dangers of being roadside.
Literally being roadside. You could be dune side.
Yeah. Nah, this is good. We got it working.
Oh, Jody, you're so generous. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You're making this trip possible. Take a moment, let us know in the chat where you're watching from. If you're just joining us, welcome. We're watching the sunset on hopefully what will be the last sunset over Ship 24 and Booster 7 on the orbital launch mount. Who's that talking? That's a great question, Zachary. My name's Zach. I'm the founder and host here at TLP. We've also got Ian and Dakota here with us. Ian, say hi.
Hey, everybody.
Dakota, yell hello.
Hello, everyone.
We got Starshine from Londium, Thunderheart's in Oklahoma, Cat's in Long Beach, Jody's in Illinois, Amnita's California. Amy's asking, are they done working on the HPU and the BQD? It looks like it. There was a crate up not too long ago. It looks pretty clear now. We saw a lot of engineers coming out, taking pictures, and we're acting pretty excited earlier. So we definitely think that they're ready. A number of them said to us and some of the other people walking by that it feels ready. It feels ready. They think it's ready to go.
Yeah, actually, I noticed that the crane that they were using to bring the crew up and down is now parked in that secondary lot. So they're totally done bringing people up for the day.
So they're not putting... Oh, okay. Well, that's really good.
Yeah, I think they're feeling pretty confident about this. They fixed whatever is going on, maybe, and then
yeah,
some.
if they took that white lift out, that's a really good sign.
Well, not the white lift. They were using two yellow cranes.
Two yellow ones? Okay.
Yeah, so one of the yellow ones is down there.
Beverly is in Arkansas. We got Sam in Temple City, California. Jeremy's in Pennsylvania. Stefan's in just south of San Francisco. Great having you here. Christy, some good old Texas tank watching, that is right. Christy, good to see you. Again, if you're just joining us and have questions, you can send those in. Here to answer them for you as we watch the sunset. We're also just going to sit back and relax. Kat, yes, I will be. I've got the ability to stay currently set up until at least Thursday next week. And after that, we have some backup plans should we need to have those. Christy's asking, are there a lot of people out there? Yes, this is the busiest I've ever seen Starbase, especially over by the build site. Busier than even Surge. There was not a single parking spot available, even for the public. Really, it was crammed full of SpaceX team and VIPs. And then coming out here to the launch site, we are parked. Basically, we're in like the second last spot before you're in the water on the beach. And up until before Monday, you could park all the way down at the main gate. So definitely a lot busier, a lot of people coming, getting a last chance to look at Starship before she flies. Obviously a little bit different with it being not a weekend, so a different bit of a crowd coming out after work and things like that. Tanner is asking, if this flight goes beyond perfect, wonder what the next test will be. Even if this flight goes perfect, it's not expected the next flight will be for 2 to 3 months. They're going to have to do a lot of inspections of the orbital launch mount, the orbital tank farm, and the tower before they conduct another launch test. Booster 9 is ready to go, basically, but it does qualify as a different vehicle. It's had enough changes from Booster 7 to Booster 9 that it does count as a different vehicle, so we'll have to go through new testing. That one guy, thanks so much for donating that membership. Really do appreciate it. How long till launch? Look in the top left corner of your screen. That is a live countdown to the opening of tomorrow's window. Yeah, never trust Yahoo News. It was not dismantled yesterday. Jody, thank you so much again. 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. Starshine's asking any reports on what valve sees. We haven't heard anything on exactly which valve, but it all lines up. Elon wanted a 420 launch, and here we go. Can actually hear a vent happening from what I believe is the booster. Yeah, let me adjust that mic there. It's a little bit windier, different angle of the wind today. Yeah, Elon's going to take everybody as high as they need to be for 420. I like that. We might steal that for a tweet tomorrow. Is there any areas that are clear that we could be able to see Starship? Yeah, so anywhere really along the Gulf of Mexico, if you have a clear weather and clear sky, you do have an opportunity to see it solely just because of its scale. But it will be hard to see. It will have a very different plume behind it because of the being a methane engine, so a little bit harder to see. But if you're down here in the area, South Padre, Brownsville, Port Isabel, definitely not an issue to be able to see it and feel it. Amy, what's venting right now? So we do see some venting coming off just the side of the tank farm. That's just normal venting that we'll see. Normally when they're filling it, they'll turn on a vent like that just to help balance the pressure. And we heard a little vent from the ship or booster earlier. That could just be with the effects of changing temperature to hold the pressure at a point that they are happy with. Ginger, what time are you going to start broadcasting tomorrow? Our plan is to go live about T-minus 3 hours. So right around math 5:30 Central Time, roughly. John Fair is having partial solar eclipse today. That's awesome. If you haven't yet, take a moment, gauge that like button, share out the stream, really helps us out. With the sun setting, it will look a little bit blurrier on the screen, but we'll try to keep that in focus as much as we can. And then once it sets, it'll look absolutely gorgeous. Once that sun's down behind the tank farm, it'll really start to crisp up the image there. And yes, parts of Mexico would be able to see it. Yeah, we're about 2.5 miles from the border, not even. Vex, I believe that is asking, do I think it's actually going to launch tomorrow? That's the hope. Definitely, everything's pointing that it is going to have a good attempt here tomorrow. The engineers seemed really happy today when we saw them leaving the pad. Weather's shaped up to be looking pretty good as well. Tank farm looks like it's going to be ready, so as long as they believe they fixed that valve issue, that seemed to be the only issue that we heard that they were working. Elon did say they were working multiple issues, but that doesn't mean those were flight critical issues. They could have been things that weren't perfectly nominal, but it could be stuff that wouldn't have impacted them actually getting to take off or not. Denise, thanks again, Zach, and the whole launch. Absolutely, thanks so much. David, what time would liftoff be? They're targeting 8:28 a.m. Central Time, or 13 hours, 19 minutes, 50 seconds from now. That countdown's top left corner. When we do leave the roadside, we do have our 24/7 camera running over from about the edge of the exclusion zone, and you can follow along there, and that also has a live countdown on the screen. Sorry about that, everybody. Quick little camera reset there. Working in the field. Lots of loose cables. Beautiful evening down here for hopefully the last sunset. And if you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. Take us at the launch pad. We'll work on answering those live. Yes, all the work was done with the FTSs still armed. They are still armed even right now.
Are they going to shut down this entire beach?
Yes.
Oh, I thought I could go way down there.
You know, they'll clear it from 5 miles to the Mexican border, and about 3 miles down the highway is a full exclusion zone. Because if this thing runs, it's about 3 times Hiroshima.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping. I wanted to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have about 700 casualties or so. That's the scary part.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was
Yeah.
thinking about just the noise.
Yeah,
it
best
would be
best
interesting.
spot's going to be South Padre Island on the beach.
Yeah, over there at the
Yeah.
amphitheater. All right.
You guys have questions? You can send those in the chat. Ooh, we got a question. Aren's asking, when are we doing weekly streams with Ian again?
I'm down. Let's do it.
When he shows up.
Ah!
I'm not throwing you under the bus. I'm throwing you under the Starship.
I know. No, it's okay. Yeah. I've
Been,
had some.
been a busy beginning of the year.
Yeah, a lot of life changes have been going on. I am fully ready, fully committed, and I have a brand new setup, and I am ready to go.
So what day of the week do you want that to be on?
I think that's a better question for the community.
Yeah, what day of the week works for you guys for like a weekly night podcast type show? It's going to be different than what it was before. And it probably won't even be called the Launch Pod, but we got some ideas. The Launch Pod will come back though, as well. Dave, I'll have to fire, or they'll attempt. That is correct. Yes, they do need 31 to be able to reach the almost orbit. So they could launch with less than that, but if they have the ability to abort, they probably will, but we'll wait to see. Thursday, Friday. Yes, Friday. Lots of Fridays.
Yeah, a lot
Okay,
of
if you
Fridays.
want a Friday night show,
I can do that.
We'll see if we can make that work into the schedule. We got a bunch of new shows we're working on to start rolling out between now and the summer. So excited for you guys to see that. The podcast, a new show, another new show, some new interview shows. So lots of stuff in the works. Okay, so I haven't seen a single person say something other than Friday or Friday and something. So I think Friday
I
it
think,
is.
Yeah, Friday night seems pretty unanimous.
We'll put out a poll on the YouTube and the Discord later, but I think that's trending Friday.
Glad you guys missed me. No. The launch has not been rescheduled for Friday. The
No.
launch is still
tomorrow.
a go for tomorrow.
A podcast is on Friday, and probably not this Friday, because I'm moving this Friday if it launches tomorrow.
I'll be driving back.
Again, if you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. Take us at the launch pad. We'll work on answering those live. Setting that up for a time lapse?
Nope, that's a great idea.
Yes,
Look at that.
please.
I just didn't want to hold the phone while we chat.
Yeah, if you could do it, like run it for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, that'd be awesome. Horizontal.
There we go.
Starshine, I'm showing 1 day, 13 hours on launch counter on screen. Is that right? That is 13 hours, 10 minutes on screen. Not a 1. That's a T. T-minus 13 hours. Absolutely gorgeous sunset. What time will they start prop load? About an hour, 45 minutes prior to launch.
Hey, you got a second, man?
Sure, I see you.
Yeah, you want to help us push?
Oh, straighten out your tires. Keep your tires straight. You don't want to go up here.
Do you have an extra towel to put underneath the tire for traction?
It was really close. Yeah, I think.
Okay, for the hood pushing?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to count it down?
Video or cinematic video? I've never worked with either, so.
Cinematic is only if you're like doing dynamic things.
Okay.
Cool, and if it's a time lapse, you can do time lapse mode anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That you want to move over?
Little over. Run it up maybe the hill. Want to run it up so the cars aren't in it?
Yeah.
I trust you.
Oh, this dude was out here the other day.
What time's evacuation? Evacuation notice would be 9 p.m. if it's the same as Monday. And then road closure at midnight. How far away are we from Starship? What? Less than a minute walk. We're pretty much. I mean, we could get a little bit closer if we were right next to the tank farm, but we wanted to see sunset. So, but we were a lot closer. We'll be posting some photos tonight on Twitter, so make sure you stay tuned for those. We were closer to Starship than it is tall. So, excited to get some of those photos out to you guys here later tonight. And have some of those on the website for posters as well. Keep in mind, we do have our Starship 24 promo code. Gets you 24% off of everything on the shop. Don't you think you're a bit too close? I thought that when we were closer to Starship than it was tall. But it's still quite amazing to get to be there. So quite special. Quite rare in the world. And we were that close while still following all the rules from SpaceX, the county, and the FAA. So there's a very specific spot that you can go to and how you get to it. I would maybe zoom it out just a hair more, because then we can crop it to straighten it. But the angle's good. If there's anything specific you guys want to see, we can zoom in on that once the sun gets down here. We'll have a bit clearer look once the lights turn on.
Apparently time lapse doesn't let you do variable soon. So
That's fine.
it's that or it's
That's good. You'll get more of the sky and then we can crop.
Yeah, I wish I started it earlier when I was like up there then.
I thought about it, but
Tell me what to do there.
Awesome, John. Glad you got back into the Discord there. Stefan, are you streaming from this location? I'm going to wave my hand in front of the camera. Woo, there it is. Yes, I am. Zachary thought SpaceX had a different launch today. They did. They launched Starlink this morning from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. We were live for that. So that was this morning's launch. And tomorrow we're working towards now Starship launching. Yes, we won't be at this distance when it goes up. No one will be. Except maybe a few birds.
Hopefully no turtles.
Hopefully no turtles. We have seen the turtle team out here removing eggs from some new nests, making sure the sea turtles are protected. Take a quick commentary break, guys. Be right back. That's the next thing I'm buying you in Florida. Is a little pop-up table. Boom. Buying you a little pop-up table. So you don't have to be like this in the car.
Michael, how can we help you? Liminal, thank you, man. We wouldn't be able to do this without y'all.
The car that passed by. So pretty. Did you want photos of this? Oh, something the right behind Hoppy. I love Starbase.
Hey, Amy, it's Dakota here. Thank you for the gifted subs, Jody. Steve, the weather here currently, it's a little overcasty towards the inland, but right here on the beach it's pretty clear. We're watching the sun go down. Looks like a binary sunset straight out of an old favorite movie of mine.
Yup.
And if y'all have any questions, keep them coming in the chat. Anything on the rocket you want us to try and zoom in and see for y'all, let us know.
So.
Steve, odds of it greenlit for a launch tomorrow. As of now, SpaceX is still trying for a launch tomorrow, but we'll know about T-minus 2 hours when they give that go, no-go for sure.
How's it going?
Yeah, really good.
Want to say hi to stream?
Oh, cool, yeah. Huh?
They can't see you, but they can hear you.
They can hear me. Wow.
Yeah.
Give them your name and where you're from.
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, cool. Okay.
They'll just hear you there. This is too zoomed in.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm Stephen. I'm the Shard baby. I'm here from London, the UK. And, well, I've actually just moved down here from London. So I'm not going to be... well, I've left London to live out here for a while.
So awesome.
But yeah, it's the third time since I've been to the United States. I've never ever been to anywhere other than the US. So, well, never ever been to the US other than Starbase before. So the first time I went to the States was in December 2021. I mean, I've been seeing this change every single day for the last 2 years, and then all of a sudden it's launch day. I mean, it's close to launch day, and yeah, it's the.
Hopefully the last sunset with that stacked rocket.
Yeah.
What does spaceflight mean to you?
Okay, well, it means, it means hope for the future. It means access to space. I mean, yeah, and pretty much with this one, it's going to lead to points, which is going to completely change the way we're going to fly around Earth. Because of course, it's eventually going to phase out aeroplanes, fossil fuel aeroplanes. So that's 27% of global CO2, alongside Tesla and electric vehicles that can be addressed just with space flights alone. And then we're going to reach new places. We're going to learn how to be self-sufficient on Mars, and that's also going to be key to finding out how to live, how we can drive,
How we can live together.
together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which together all around the stars. Because of course, once we learn how to live on Mars, then it's leading the way to learn the way of how
Absolutely.
to live out on Earth. And
There's a special magic to it all. I mean, look at us right now. Men of 3 different nations standing side by side staring at that piece of ingenuity.
well, I mean, I've been here in December 2021. I was here for a month in July 2022 last year. 100 Fahrenheit. It's really hot days. And,
Yeah. Summer's warm.
So, yeah, been learning out how to live out here, and well, it's very harsh and inhospitable place, and then it's just a surprise to see so many people out here, which of course it's a direction that SpaceX wants to do. They want to learn how to fly, how to live out in a place that's.
This is a
the most
extreme endeavor, and we
Yeah.
need all humans on deck for this.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been 50 years in the developments to get here. I mean, the Soviets tried with the N1 in the 1970s to build a rocket like this, and of course SpaceX have been trying to reach full reusability for quite a while. And that's the second stage. That's they're hoping to reuse. That's going to be going 4 times the speed that
Very
first stage is
soon,
going
the
to
three
be.
of us are going to be standing around respective TVs watching the first human step on Mars off the bat. Very, very
Why
soon.
aren't we going to be on the one going to Mars?
They're not going to let us be the first ones to go, Zach.
They need a broadcaster reporting live from Mars. I promise I won't screw up the first words.
Feeling that the first producer will probably be from NASA TV, if anyone. Be a civil servant.
I mean, they'll need everybody on
Yeah.
Mars. They'll need, well, because of course you'll need everybody from farmers to technicians to healthcare.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to be a full society. I mean, this is part of the projects that I've been working on to work out how to make tall tin buildings not just stand up on Earth, but also stand up on Mars. Because of course, if you look,
Totally different structuring with the gravity difference.
oh yeah, and the pressure, because of course Windows governs the design of tall buildings. Because of course pressure times area is force, and of course the density is directly proportional to pressure. And when you're calculating the overturning force on the building, that's pressure times area equals force, and then force times distance is the overturning moment. And the taller you're building, the greater the overturning force. And it actually turns out the taller you build your skyscraper, it's the overturning force increases exponentially, and this is why the launch tower over there. I mean, it's a very slender tower, and what you want to do is you want to, of course, you want to make it robust, but also you want to make sure that all the sort of horizontal loads that are being, are loaded onto the tower, especially when you're going to have the cladding on it, because of course pressure and area. It's astronomical, really, because you've got the chopsticks, which are basically they're exerting a huge overturning force on that tower, which means that if it didn't have the if it didn't have this sort of structural system of these are called K braces, the triangles, they're evenly distributing the load around the columns. So that all the overturning force isn't on one column, because your overturning force is going to govern the cross-sectional area of your columns. So you don't want it all on one column. You want to distribute it. Hence why these aren't just for wind loads. These are also to make sure that the design of the tower is as economical as possible. So when we're seeing the chopsticks reduce in length, because they're currently spanning 34.5 meters, they're going to reduce to about 24 meters, as I recall, with the ones at the Cape, because of course they don't need them, because they're going to catch the starch.
It's just for stacking at Cape.
Stacking, or actually could be doing the catching, because they're only going to catch them at the centre, so that extra length for the chopsticks isn't required. It's just because an engineer thought, well, it's 34.5, it's half of this particular number, so...
Oh, you've got to be kidding me that's where that came from. So, come on.
That's why.
That doesn't surprise me
turns
at
up
all.
all over the place. And I can tell you all the other measurements.
So with the ship then, you're talking about the overturning force.
Force, yeah.
How does that look? I don't know if you've looked at it, but how does that look on Mars with it just standing by itself then?
Oh, well, it's going to be completely different. Well, of course, you're going to, if you construct this on Mars, of course, you're going to have the same issue, because of course it's all, of course, gravity. Only gravity is affected there, really. So, actually, it would be a magnitude smaller, because of course it's only 38% of the 30% of the of gravity on Mars compared to Earth.
Right.
So because your mass is going to be is basically going to be the force. Of course, the pressure, the density of the chopsticks is going to be lower. Well, not the density of the chopsticks. I mean, the mass of the chopsticks is going to be lower. Definitely not the density. Get that right. But yeah, of course, density and.
When the tower can be smaller, because we won't need the boosters on Mars.
Absolutely, yes. Of course, it's much harder to escape Earth's gravity. Hence why.
Yeah, Earth's crazy to get off of.
This is absolutely nuts what they're doing here, because this is the second stage, which is also going to return back to Earth, and not only has the boot, it's got to be large enough to be able to hold all the propellant, and it's also large enough so that when it's falling back to Earth, because of course they do the belly flop maneuver, it's using as much area as possible. This is why it's my favourite equation: pressure times area is force, so that it slows itself down. But then of course it's got to have the propellant to do the final flip. It's also aiming to deliver 150. This variant about 100 tons. Of course, they're not going to do any payload on this. So it's actually, when it's going to fly, it's going to use less fuel. So the ship shouldn't be fully fueled in this launch. But eventually it's going to be 250 tons, and 250 tons expendable to orbit. And of course, in order to do that, they'll take off the mass. They would make it expendable. They wouldn't need the flaps to return back to Earth. But yeah, that whole booster has got to take that up. Which it's astronomical. It weighs about, I think it weighs. Not sure if this is right, but it's about at least 1.5 times the mass of the Saturn V.
Yeah, something about that.
Twice as powerful. And
so many more engines.
Yeah, I mean 33, and this is why I mentioned the N1, because of course they were trying to do 30 engines, and
everything's bigger in Texas.
Yep, they definitely. Yeah. They got to feed all the engines at the same continuously. I mean, this thing is going to be very thirsty on the way up, and they need to sort of continually force all that propellant into the engines. and of course there are 33. There's so many. There's so many things that have never been tried and tested.
Yeah.
Which is why, I mean, it's absolutely bonkers that they're trying this for the first time they've ever actually got any flight data from the booster.
No. Well, Elon was saying, we really hope one engine doesn't fail, because if we do, it's going to be like a box of grenades underneath the ship. And I was like, well, that's a lovely imagery. Thanks, Elon.
Yep.
We didn't need that imagery.
Hopefully happens, if that's going to happen,
Downrange.
Downrange, not
Where we
anywhere
can all
close.
watch it explode in the distance.
Yep, because quite a lot of us are going to be quite close to
Any
that.
explosives aside, how many engines can fail for it to still? Okay, that's what I thought.
It needs 31 to still reach orbit.
31 or yeah.
So technically on
about
this,
3
it
or 4.
probably could be less than that, because it doesn't have a payload and it won't have full fuel. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna
necessarily
ask if they were doing any simulated mass with it.
Not that he said. Apparently, I mean, Elon a year ago said a big wheel of cheese.
They said, I think he said recently that the data is the most valuable payload.
Yeah.
In this launch.
You know,
What a
fair. Yeah, I
cheesy
like
answer.
that.
Because he's done the wheel of cheese, he's done the Tesla Roadster,
And Cybertruck's not ready.
and Cybertruck's
They
not ready
have
yet.
them.
They have
They
prototypes.
could do it.
But I don't think
Uh,
they have a way of getting it in yet, because they would need a much bigger door than the Starlink Pez door,
Yeah.
or they'd have to put it in while they're like sleeving it.
They've had issues with closing the Pez door. So
Yeah. That's why the first ones are gonna be
They've,
expendable.
they've
They
welded
just
them
have to
up.
open the door and spit them out, and then I'm assuming they'll do like the second stage like they do with Falcon and just bring it back over Point Nemo.
Yeah.
I would assume, or shoot it out to the sun.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first point-to-point catches are going to be possibly from here to the Cape, so they don't have to.
When do you think we'll see that? What's your guess?
Uh,
'Cause I think that's a ways.
Yeah, I'm guessing like 5 to 8 years.
I mean, with the Cape, yeah, I'd say 5 years. Although, point to point is completely different to going to Mars.
Yeah.
It's
I think the biggest risk is just the flying over the city thing. I'm really curious how they're going to navigate that whole new licensing structure, because right now we have planes that obviously fly over cities, but like, at what point can we get to the point where we trust this enough
yeah, I mean,
to a plane?
and this is completely different because this is a rocket system. It's got tons
Yeah.
of components on it, which
Yeah, plane falls out of the sky, like, you know, it might take out a couple houses, but not this whole neighborhood.
yeah, and that's why I reckon it's going to take at least 20 years ideally, but 30 years at least to do regulatory approval for the point-to-point.
Oh wow,
So
okay.
it's actually it's likely easier.
They'll be ready for it, but the regulatory stuff.
Regulatory,
Yeah.
that's going to be the biggest roadblock.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll definitely prove that it can reach, it can have people safely once they've done dozens of them.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's going to be a huge risk. I mean, we've just seen met some
jealous.
the moon astronauts
I
today,
passed
and
by them. I was like, oh,
they're quite,
man.
they were like, well,
Yeah, I thought-
we'll do this if it's dozens of flights, which is much more than they did on other types of launches like the shuttle, which they only did 2 launches, which is why they didn't exactly find out everything wrong with the rocket. But the great thing about Starship and the innovative process that SpaceX is carrying out is that, of course, they're doing several processes, and they could change 100 things on the booster or the ship, and then they'd fly it and they'd find 12 things.
Yep.
Well,
Well, that's why 7 and 9 are totally different vehicles.
Yeah,
They look similar,
even though they haven't
but
flown in
yeah, even though they haven't flown 7 yet. I think that's one thing. I've been talking to people that have been out here this week, and a lot of people, like, they're kind of when people look at like Apple and Samsung, they go in waves of technical innovation for like 4, 5, 6 years, and then physical innovation 4, 5, 6. They're in a physical innovation right now, and they're getting to the point where they're going to get their data to actually be able to get the technical change, which will then prompt the next physical
Definitely.
actual changes.
They've never, I mean, 24 hasn't even flown, and they've got 26, 27, 28,
I think up to 36 or something has been seen.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think, I think that's why they're doing ship 26 and 27, because of course, when you're testing it without the flaps and the tiles, it's much lighter. And of
Much
course,
easier.
This is also going to be the lunar landing variants as well, and the tanker possibly. So I think what SpaceX are trying to do is they're trying to test as many different vehicles and get the flight data as soon as possible, because you don't know how this is going to fly completely differently when you're flying it without without the flaps and the tiles. It's going to be.
Well, and if Starlink isn't flying on Starship by the end of the year, Starlink basically doesn't have a way to function. It'll lose its frequencies next year.
Even
so
though T-Mobile kind of promised they'll do it by the end of the year.
yeah, that's not happening on Falcon.
Yeah, they've done the Starship minis, the Starlink minis. Which
22 is very different than 60 per launch they launched 22 this morning on the Falcon 9. I was like, wow, that's a lot less, but they're way bigger.
I mean, they're bigger, but of course, Elon mentioned that they'll eventually extend the ship by about 10 meters, which makes a lot more sense because they've been claiming, oh, we're going to put 100 people on this.
Yeah, there's not a room for 100 people right now.
Even though I think the theory is that they could use Neuralink to send people into a sleep on the 6-month journey to Mars. It's a possibility. But that's
interesting.
We don't. That's just
That's down the road.
That's a theory.
Yeah, it makes sense though.
Because
I mean, we can put people in medical comas now.
Yeah, I mean,
so theoretically, even without Neuralink, could you do it? Yes. Are there morals and ethics to doing it? Maybe.
I mean, that's all what Neuralink has got to figure out anyway.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole company. But of course, every single Elon Musk company is helping
for Mars.
For Mars.
Yeah.
So of course, it came around in Neuralink was announced starting in 2016, the same time around the Boring Company. Of course, the Boring Company, their tunnel boring machines are designed. They're 8 meters diameter, so they're designed to fit inside a Starship payload bay. So it's all planning. It's also the great thing about tunnel boring machines is that if you excavate underneath the surface of Mars, you won't really disturb the landscape and keep it as it is. Because of course they're not. Well, it's much more of a challenge to build infrastructure over ground, and then you can reuse the material that you've excavated elsewhere for the construction of other Martian buildings. And this is actually a project I've been focusing on because for my dissertation study I wanted to design very tall timber buildings. So I was looking previously. Somebody else had done 350 meters. I was looking at 300 to 600 meters in height. And the thing is, it's fully reusable. It's fully renewable. It's fully you can grow trees on Mars, and this is the idea that if you're traveling from A to B and you're using a lot of energy, you want to keep it to minimal on Mars because of course you've got to generate all your energy, you generate your own power. And so it's not just. I mean, I didn't realise this when I was working on it. I just thought I was designing a well-stored thing building, but also when you design that high, you're finding the optimal geometry for. I was looking at different height ranges, so I was finding the optimal geometries for different heights, which means that you find the correct structural system. I've now got a spreadsheet. You put in the numbers, you find the dimensions, and you find the structural sizes and the structural lengths, which also I could change for Mars because of course. It's not going to.
You just change like the gravity and
the gravity and the air pressure, which is going to overturn your building. So it's actually going to be much easier to build this. It's going to require much less resources to build this on Mars. And also, why skyscrapers? Because your distance from A to B is effectively zero, so you're minimising the amount of energy you're using, and also vertical cities. So I'm called the Shard Baby Online because of course I followed the construction of the Shard.
Shard's awesome.
305.05 meters.
It's huge.
So it's 1,001 feet. This is, of course, it's 469 feet.
Yeah, the Shard is ridiculous when you actually especially when you sit here and then you think. Oh yeah. The actual Shard.
This is ridiculous. The scale and the way that they've designed it is that it's only got 3.9 millimeter thick stainless steel, and that's pretty standard. I mean, of course, it's pressurized inside like a soda can.
Yeah, I try not to think about how thin that metal is. I ordered I have the SpaceX print that they had of the first stacking that's printed on the Starship metal, and when that got delivered and I picked up, I was like, 1, that's heavy. 2, that's not very thick because it's the same thickness as Starship, and it's like
it's extremely heavy because of course the density of stainless steel is 8,050 kilograms per meters cubed, and that adds.
I want to live in your brain for like a minute.
Yeah. So I've been following this stuff kind of non-stop continuously for 2 years. Yeah. For more than 2 years, of course. I was watching this alongside when I was doing that dissertation. And it was kind of clicking together because. yeah, 21%, because of course 21% of global CO2 is because we're using concrete and steel. That could be carbon negative. And the thing is, it's now proving that timber is a now material rather than the future material. But of course, it's not just, it's harder to do that. It's harder to sort of get those regulated and sort of, because even though the technology has been around for 15 years, it's something that's never been done before. But of course, I've got proof it's feasible, and it's
Right.
It's
Yeah, you can run the numbers and it proves that it works.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring this around here because of course SpaceX, they're trying to push things forward.
Absolutely.
And if you do it like this, I mean, I'm even though I've designed the tower and it worked to 600 meters, I've been pushing it and finding a way to reduce the moments in the tower so that it uses less structural material, because of course this
We have to get this all to Mars.
2 Mars, yeah. And of course, instead of taking materials from Earth to Mars, which you don't necessarily want to do, why don't you just do it on the red planet, where you can grow the materials, and then of course it comes down to the durability of the building. I mean, the concrete and steel lasts about design life of 60 years, up to 120 years, depending on the mix. Which means that you always need maintenance. Of course, 12% of global CO2 is the energy use of your buildings and the maintenance and so on. So it's important what material you design out of, because if you're going to have to replace concrete and steel, that's very hard to do. So the idea is you replace the components on the outside of the building. Obviously, SpaceX are planning to build, the way that SpaceX are manufacturing these buildings is a similar way that you can build this sort of diagram structural system I've been looking at, where it's modular construction.
Right.
This was done by, it's a thing called modular construction, where you prefabricate sections where on the ground where it's easier. For example, if you're in a city and you've got to deliver a building and you want to get it up as quickly as possible, piece by piece, load by load, and of course delivery by delivery, why don't you just build it in huge segments in the ground where it's easier, it's safer, and yeah, so like with this tower, they just stacked those. They're 16.5 meters tall each. The sort of triangles in the tower, they're called K braces, and those are the ones that distribute the load evenly between the columns. So you're minimising the cross sectional area of the columns. So each of those are one segment of 3 of those levels high, which is 16.5 meters tall. There are 9 segments of this tower. I mean, it looks like 8 because there are 24 K braces
the
high.
weird ones at the top.
Weird ones at the top where, I mean, they innovated when they stacked them on the Cape, because of course they had to do this very awkward lift where there were lots of points where it had to meet, because they sort of did the lower deck, and then they had the top segment was the column of the top floor with all the meeting points that had to meet exactly in the right place. Hence why the one in the Cape was they cut it to below the deck, so
right.
The whole deck was including anyway.
Sure.
But yeah, that was stacked on top as one piece instead, to make it easier to build. And that's the thing, when you're on Mars and it's extremely difficult to build something like this. This is why they're testing it out here in a really hard place to build it, because they're in the middle of the desert and 20 miles away from civilization.
1 second, guys. We'll swap the batteries probably. Oh, we're back.
Good.
For now. Let's check the... It just decided to have a snooze, but it should be all set now.
That's good.
You know, even the camera wants to have a break.
Looks 5x5 here.
Yep.
Hearing 5x5?
It looks like it.
That's good.
There we go.
But yeah, this is pushing engineering to the max.
Oh, absolutely.
This is fine. This is why space is so important, because of course you're innovating, you're finding technology. We wouldn't have stuff like headphones.
There's so much stuff that has come from the space industry. Like, we've been working on a kind of a more deep dive story into it for, once we get this done, we can focus on it. But there's so much daily stuff that everyone uses. I mean, we wouldn't have the cell phones we have. We wouldn't have the laptops we have if we hadn't had the Apollo era and then the shuttle era. It wouldn't be possible. What's your name?
Bashard Baby. Yeah.
Got it.
Thank you. B Shard and Baby the dog. because baby dog. I've had her since I was 7. Well, not 7 yet. Then then I was very young when I named myself a Shard baby, because when I was a kid, I was watching construction for Shard. I was going to the site, documenting it. I was taking pictures.
It was cool to see me built.
Every Friday after school, I was going into the city and taking pictures, talking to people on the construction projects. And then, of course, that inspired me to study structural engineering and architecture, which then led me to do this research into tall timber buildings, which I didn't even know when I was working on it that it would be into this project, which kind of could link into what SpaceX are doing, because of course altogether that's nearly 70% of global CO2, which is in the building construction sector and the transport sector altogether. So that's why I've just left London to stay and live here for this time. I'm just gonna try, because if somebody's not trying, then
Absolutely.
this is never gonna it wouldn't materialise straight away. We need it to meet. We need this.
There's only so much you can do through a screen when you're not on site.
Yeah.
And you have to be here. It's surreal. It's different.
I know.
Seems wrong in some ways.
I mean, this is absolutely amazing. I mean, today,
this is launching. I think someone pointed out, this is now just over 12 hours.
12 hours.
And we're still standing here.
And it's the last time in human history you're seeing this on camera right now. This is the last time you're going to be looking at this live. It's the first ever Starship that's going to go into space. It's going to bring everybody's. It's going to bring space access to everyone, because of course it's going to make it much easier and cheaper to access space. So, SpaceX has said it's going to be $10 per kilogram. Ultimately, I guess they can do that by subsidising things like they do with airplanes. Like somebody buys more bigger contracts, then they end up.
Well, they said they still want to get to that 2 million mark of launch.
2 million.
That's crazy.
It's possible, because of course the way that they're going to do that is with the sea platforms, by making them self-sufficient, which also.
And then once they can produce their own propellant. Right now it's about 2 to 2.5 million, depending on the day, to fill the tank farm. So
it's all going to be operational costs, because of course if they can generate their own electricity and so on to generate the energy required to do those reactions, of course the only thing that's going to be the only thing that's going to cost is the maintenance and just operating them. And so
how quickly do you think we're going to see one come home from Mars?
Okay, from Mars. Okay, so we got launch windows in 2024, 2027, I recall, and 2028.
Yeah, it sits weirdly with the years.
There are loads of them quite close together, around 2028, I recall. And I think.
And those are just the nominal windows. I think that was one thing. Like, I was talking with some people at NASA about and stuff for our missions. Yeah, we would like to launch in the transfer windows, but if theoretically it's just cargo, like dry cargo, we don't have to. We can launch almost the whole year. That's a month or something. I think that it's not because of the sun, but
I wonder if they could launch it in the 2024 window if they just go for it. It's not guaranteed to survive, because of course this is a big. I
think they're pushing for it. That's next year, but
it's a big step up to try to just go around to just do it, to just reach orbital velocity, yet alone figure out how to land on Mars.
Yep.
So I guess 2027 by the time they're actually going. If they chose, unless they choose an off nominal window, and then we could returning. I'd say around 2028 if they wanted to just return one straight away and see how that works out, because of course SpaceX, they want to try this out ASAP,
right?
To learn how it's, because of course
if they have enough, if they could get on like a free return or something.
Flight data is incredibly valuable.
Absolutely.
Once you test it in real life, you never know what's going to happen in real life that you've never experienced during the simulations. That's why they tested the hops, and they did the smaller hops like Hoppy and the SN5 and SN6 before they even tried to go up to a high altitude and try all the difficult manoeuvring with the flipping band actually. And that's the thing. The great thing about the suborbital hops is that they've already figured out how to do those flips and that
We'll see if they can prove that they can do it again. They've only did it once successfully, but
Which could, I'm not sure if they did that to sort of say.
I think they were going to get here closer, because I know when Ian and I were here in February last year, they were so certain 420 was launching within like weeks.
Yeah,
like
it was
all the
imminent.
employees thought that. Like they were pushing for that. That's why it was stacked. That's why there was a Starship update. Get the world excited, and then a few weeks later launch it. And then here we are 15 months later, and we haven't seen a launch since.
Because of course they had to roll out a brand new booster. Booster 7 had design changes, and when you had design changes, you had to test it out fully.
Yeah.
And then Booster 7 had all the issues with the downcomer, and then of course.
Yeah, this was the one that had it crushed. The 7 was the one that crushed,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
With the transfer tube, I think it was the transfer tube in the methane tank, and it basically cracked and imploded under the with pressure. So basically the pressure differential issue inside. Well, they managed to fix it, and they rolled it out very quickly. So it looked like they were going for it, and then of course, they had the spin prime explosion in July, which was a kind of it basically told that SpaceX, okay, we've definitely got to be more careful. They tried to go for 33 spin prime 33 engines at the same time, so they took it a bit more slowly. Hence why it's just taken months and months and months. They sort of slowly tested up the number of engines that they've been testing up to 33. I mean, they only fly 31 in the last test. I mean, not too bad. They can learn from that, because they had two different off-nominal situations with the engines that told them we're only going to do. This could happen again, but at least we've seen this scenario on the pad, so that they can kind of learn from that whatever area caused not all the engines to light. So they were a bit more cautious, and then they had to get out the auto launch mount, because they learned from the boost from the static fires that the static fires were causing a bit more damage than they really wanted to. So hence why they all of a sudden they just thought, oh, we're okay. We definitely need it. Yeah, we definitely need a water deluge now. So
You want to join us in some Q&A with our chat?
yeah, sure.
Yeah. If you
sure.
guys have some questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat, especially with
Steven. Yeah.
absolutely
The Shard Baby.
the Shard Baby, another fellow creator out here. So if y'all have any questions for any of us, please let us know. Myself, Zach, Ian.
Do
or
you
Steven.
think someone will ever check their Google doorbell from the moon or Mars at home?
In my lifetime? No.
That's quite the delay.
In my
Yeah, it wouldn't
children's
make sense to
lifetime,
do it from Mars,
potentially.
maybe from the moon.
Does anyone know if they've solved the problem? Not officially, but the engineers were celebrating earlier, so they told us that it's ready. So
Oh yes, because we saw the booster team out.
yeah, the booster team was taking big group photos in front of it. So we take that as a really good sign. All but one lift has been rolled away, so we're back to where we were Sunday night. And the weather's looking good. It's starting to really clear off, and hopefully it stays clear all night. What are the chances it explodes? I feel like we have to say 50-50. I feel like they, maybe not officially, but I feel like there's always the chance.
I don't think they'll do 50-50 if they knew. They wouldn't launch it
If they thought it was 50-50, no.
Well, it
But-
could be 50-50 explode at any point within
Flight.
mission.
Flight. I'd say on the pad 5%, because
I think
this is
they
highly
think, yeah.
complicated.
So then Max Q, Miko.
Max
What's your percentages?
I think Max Q. I mean, I don't think anything's really going to go wrong between launch and Max Q. I mean, once it's cleared the tower, that's a very good sign. I've already started at 5%.
Yeah.
I think it's booster main engine cut off. That could be off nominal. So I mean, that's from the 5% level. That could be about 2%. So yeah, 1 in 5 chance after that. Yeah, and then of course there's stage separation. I think I'm most worried about stage separation, because they've never done that before.
Well, that's where almost everyone fails the first time, is stage separation.
Yeah, I mean Terran won recently, which
Yeah, I
Rip
mean,
Terran
which
1.
which was brilliant actually.
It did incredibly well, and I mean, it did well enough that they're going straight to Terran R.
Yeah, they proved that 3D rockets can work at max Q because it survived the structural load testing during flights, which is exactly what you want to know.
Bren's asking, did they fix the elevator? No, they said they'll wait till after. That's not a super important thing.
Wow, so that was actually the elevator.
Yeah, that big sparky thing was the dumbwaiter falling from the top. The
Nice.
cable sheared.
Nice.
And it left a guy up top. He was not happy.
How did he get down then?
The big white lift. He had to take the stairs. Until
there are
stairs the entire thing.
That's good.
Hey guys, just to let you know, we're going to be pulling our stream tonight at 8:30 Central Time, so 9:30 if you're on the East Coast. But we will be getting up extra early and starting streaming in about T-minus 2.5 hours, T-minus 2 hours. We'll be seeing y'all tomorrow. But again, if you have any other questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat while we're still out here. We're still here for you.
Too bad.
Because I think everything on this launch is telling us that they just want to reach orbital velocity and learn if the heat tails are going to hold up.
Yeah.
Because those are the two big tests. I mean, max Q, stage separation, and orbital velocity. I mean, if it reaches orbital velocity, it proves that it can move away faster than the Earth. It can move as fast from the Earth as the Earth is pulling it down. Which, if they can reach and stabilize with a ship that's never ever been tested in space, you've got to remember.
Sylvia's asking, how are we holding up with the mosquitoes? They're actually, I mean, now that you said it, they're going to come attack us.
Not bad.
But they haven't been bad tonight. There's been some nights, though. My goodness, they come out in waves.
Yeah, I've been staying at Isla Bunker, and it's not. They haven't been in.
Yeah, they haven't fogged. We've watched them fog here about a week ago. They fogged the pad at least, but
It rained yesterday, and once it rains, they sort of breed in the water.
yeah.
And then
We've got a couple days.
yikes, yep, it's going to be. Yeah, I've been missing today during the day, but not right now. Good.
Question from Discord: why are so many tankers required to replenish the tank farm? It just takes that many. It takes a lot of propellant to fill those. It's what's the number? 150.
140 something.
140 something
I think
to
it's
fill it.
148 or 100 and
Yeah.
something.
So they did detank and save as much as they could, but obviously when you tank a ship, take it all the way down to 40 seconds, and then safe the pad and rocket and then detank, you're going to have quite a bit of burn off. In that, the orbital tank farm only holds enough for 1.2 starships, which theoretically should be enough for the tanker.
And also the hold points. Well, when we had the wet dress rehearsal, it held at 5 minutes
Yeah.
at T-minus 40, which is I think it's the last. Well, we don't know, but it's the last. It looks like the last hold point where they can actually stop it themselves.
Yeah.
And it's all taken over by the producer. But it kind of implies that if it was only 5 minutes, that they only have 5 minutes worth of holding time for the propellants. We'll learn if that's the case soon.
Yeah.
But if we keep seeing that.
Yeah, how long can they actually hold at T-minus 40 before they risk running out?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's 1.2 starships. So in the
Well, it makes me wonder if they're going to have to bring in more tanks for when we do the tankers, because they're going to need longer hold times. There's going to be the risk of a boat. I mean, we had a boat, bottom of the country, and we still had a boat in the range on Monday.
And the park crew kind of shooing it away.
Yeah, that was the whole space community's like, let me at them.
Yep. Luckily it did go away. But still, they had something on the pad, and luckily, actually, it's pretty good that they didn't fly, because of course, even though it was just a frozen valve, they just spoke about a frozen valve. It could have, of course, with all the stuff that were happening yesterday with the TFR being withdrawn and then
updated. Yeah.
It's likely that they found a lot of issues after the scrub yesterday on Monday, which likely tells us they found a lot of new things, which is good, because at least these things are happening on the pad where they can check them out before the first flight.
What are you doing?
One more time. How's it going?
Hey, what's up?
Hey,
How are you guys doing?
Good. How you feeling? Think it's gonna go? Yeah. No, we didn't on this one. I don't have an extra $2,000 to throw 500 meters from a rocket that's likely going to blow it to the sun. Well, and the first day, they didn't have anywhere for anyone to rig anything to. So you literally just set it on the concrete. Today, they at least brought in some rails. Yeah, but I mean, even still, I mean, it's too close. Yeah. No idea. So there'll probably be some people getting towed. Or that.
All right, so you're going to be over here as well?
Yep. That's the plan.
Are you in Tim's house?
We're in the same community, yeah.
Yeah, I know you're in the same community.
Yeah, we're opposite side.
But you have a good view.
Yeah, it's pretty good. We're pretty happy with it. The first place we were at last week was better, but the second place now is a little smaller, but it's also cheaper, so I can stay longer.
You got a better angle.
Yeah.
Or equal to.
Equal to, but less of it. So the other house had like a lot more wider clear space. The second house is a bit narrower space, but identical views and same internet. So either works, but I'll be here for the long run if it doesn't go. Thanks so much. We'll talk soon.
Have you got Starlink over there?
Yeah, so we'll set this up
Oh,
outside, and then the house actually has internet.
Yeah, that's
so
really,
we've
that's really
split
good.
our load.
That's good because I think the other day, I heard from those who were using Starlink in the area that they had a lot more better signal. So it's a good sign.
It's been pretty good. We've been happy with it. I mean, this is entirely Starlink here, and I mean, now, given the fact we're about hour 40, and we've dropped, to be fair, we've dropped 15,000 frames, but I mean, it's averaging about 8% right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a couple times where we had a handover, and then you drop like 2,000 type of thing. So it's pretty good. I've been surprised how solid it's been running exclusively off Starlink, because normally you want to merge it with some other stuff, but we've been pretty happy with it.
That's good, yeah, because we were thinking that they opened up the cell on Monday because of course all the flight telemetry data is going to be on Starlink. You see there are the HPUs at the base of the booster.
Yep.
And they've got these two black circles.
Yeah, right on the bottom of them. Yeah.
So those are Starlink dishes covered with heat tiles.
Ah, that's what those are. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering what those were.
Yep. So that's going to be.
It's so cool that this thing's internet powered.
Yeah, because they tried it out with SN15.
Yeah.
Remember SN15 was a bit spotty, but
yeah, SN15's cameras were garbage.
yeah, which is actually why the feed kept cutting out.
Yeah,
in the live
because it was the
stream,
Starlink dropping.
because they were just testing it. I mean,
Yeah.
at least it was a test 2 years ago. I guess 2 years is a long time.
But there's a lot more Starlinks in orbit now.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a big part of it, and they've probably prioritized putting some over to thicken up the orbit over here
Yeah.
with some of the newer ones and stuff.
Because it looked like they opened up the cell, so they prioritised this whole area during the launch window.
I don't care. They're not here.
Yeah.
MFG, if it blows up, they'll bring the marshmallows. Who's bringing the chocolate then?
You think when it launches, a bunch of heat tiles are gonna shake off?
Ooh.
Yes.
Yes,
And
by far.
This is what I'm most concerned about. If they do ignite the engines, but they scrub, because of course. Yeah, because of course T-8.
They can
They
scrub
let
all the way.
engines-
Do we know what their cutoff is?
Well, of course they can cut it during engine ignition.
Yeah.
So
They've got like
so
8
like
seconds,
probably
right?
1
get it down
second.
to
Probably down to
very
1,
close
2.
to. Well, they've done under a second before with. I remember SN8 did that.
Yeah,
And,
that's true. It ignited and stopped.
With this, it's they've got 8 seconds. They ignite the engines, but the thing is, that's at 90% thrust. So you've got to think about what sort of damage is going to be done if they don't release it.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be damage anyway. And the thing is, what sort of delay is this going to cause?
No.
And as you mentioned with the ship, if it shakes off them tiles, they're likely to have to de-stack it and reapply the tiles. And
I wonder if they would just send it
It could be
and not
yeah.
worry about I mean, obviously they're still going to worry about re-entry, but they need to prove this booster. That's the point they're at, because I mean that's why the next 2 are going to be fully expendable, no heat tiles, no nothing, so they can start getting Starlinks up there. That's their rush now, and I think this was just that this one was the next one ready. But I think they're realizing if they can prove the booster will work and they can get to a stable deployment orbit, let's start getting Starlinks done, start learning the info. Then same thing with Falcon. You know, recovering the boosters was secondary. And with, you know, not with Dragon, but, you know, even with that, they delay to get operational first. So.
Because it's all valuable for flight data, and I mean, even if it is an off-nominal situation, I mean, the most off-nominal situation could be a delay. It could be the pad being damaged very significantly.
Well, Elon said if we have a failure on pad or within the first few seconds or it falling back to pad, we're talking 9 to 12 months. So that's substantial.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the tower could survive.
The tower will. The pad's the concern. The other concern's the tank farm. If one piece of debris hits one of those tanks, those aren't. I mean, even Elon said that on the last Twitter Space the day before on Sunday night. He was like, "We made the mistake of building our own tanks." Like he was like, "That whole thing mistake." He's like, "We should have just bought all the horizontal tanks. It would have been easier, faster. We know they work." And I'm like, "Well, aren't those literally just starships?
They're
like,
starships?
They're literally just starships. They shouldn't be
at least they know
drones going up."
They know what's going on with them. Oh well, drone. Yep.
Yeah.
And but these are. I guess they have some robustness, but we don't know because it's a 9 meter diameter Starship rings stacked on. These are I mean the actual outer shells of the tank farm are 12 meters in diameter. The whole tank farm overall is 36 meters tall.
Yeah.
Don't know what that is in the in feet because of course I'm from London. But yeah, it's all in that voyage. They've got I think it's called a material called perlite, which it insulates the tanks.
Right.
Because of course you get a lot of boil off. Hopefully,
all the way out there.
Hopefully provides some robustness in case a piece of debris decides to fly that area.
Hopefully that means we might be in one of the photos again.
Yeah, I think that means that they're feeling pretty good about throwing together a video presentation for the launch tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah.
Like they're all the way out
they're
there.
out. And that's what they did the night before. Because we were like, why didn't we go?
Yeah, no, this is definitely a cinematic thing.
Yeah.
We're seeing one from the sky. We're looking directly across the road, seeing one about 500 meters in the air, which is
Math. Where did that one go? It went way over there.
It's over there.
North.
You can see it like blink every once in a while.
Yep.
Over, I think this is
there's two of them.
Brazos Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's two of them.
Yeah, because last time they took a photo over there, they took a photo over here, and then they took a couple down here. Because they took one way up here because they got all the people that were parked.
Nice. Yeah, you'll see TLP.
That's the hope. But,
Booster team celebrating.
yeah.
It looked like there was something wrong in the ship yesterday because we saw the ship being held by the chopsticks because it was being depressurized. Because of course this thing is like a soda can. If you open the hatch, you basically like a hole in the soda
That's a
can.
vent.
Yes.
Booster vent?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, sounds like.
Sounds like a nice little booster vent.
Yeah.
It's like, let me go. Quite the night.
Yeah, day before 4:20, so he sounds like he wants to date, but
I mean, I've been saying it was going to be this date for months.
Yep.
I mean, it's too fitting. I mean, originally it was going to be 4:20 on 4:20. Then it was like, okay, we'll see, it'll be later. Then it was like, okay, well now we're going to see 24/7 on 4:20.
24/7.
24. I mean that's what it's Elon and numbers. They line up too well.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a betting person, you can't deny everything lines up with him and those two beautiful numbers. But I think with that one though, we're gonna get wrapped up for the evening, at least on the live. We'll stay out here and get some more photos and B-rolls and stuff, but it's going to be a late night running into the morning for the launch attempt. SpaceX targeting 8:28 a.m. Central Time tomorrow. Wow. Or what are we at? We're at T-minus. If I wait one more minute, we're at 12 hours to launch. So quite quite a moment standing 12 hours to launch
12
next to a
hours.
rocket that seems to be ready. If it was your guys' first time here, though, make sure you subscribe so you never miss another live launch coverage, docking, undocking, or return to Earth, our exclusive interviews, and our space news updates, and a bunch of new shows that are going to be coming out over the next couple of months. If you'd like to help support what we do, you can hit that join button or check out our Patreon. All that goes back into just helping upgrade the equipment to bring you streams like this. Today's stream is powered completely with mobile power with the car and Starlink, solely off the cellular network. So exciting to see Starship hopefully start flying to bring even better quality internet through Starlink here over the next couple of years, as it's a key resource in us being able to do this on location reporting. If you guys haven't yet, take a moment, also join our Discord. That's where the space community of TLP hangs out in between launches and talks everything space, and we've been answering questions in there as well. And the last thing, get the YouTube stuff out of the way, check out our shop. Use promo code STARSHIP24. That gets you 24% off absolutely everything in the TLP store, all of our Starship gear, non-Starship gear, our prints. We're going to be adding some more prints to the shop tonight, and some posters and metal prints, so definitely check that out. But that's going to do it from us here on the roadside of Starbase, hopefully for the last time with a fully stacked Starship. But it was great to being with you. Steven, Shard, thank you so much for stopping in and chatting here. Definitely go follow Twitter, YouTube, where can people find you?
At Shard_baby, and my YouTube is TheShardBaby. And also I've got an Instagram, rg.steven, which is spelled steppen. So Steven, TH. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. We'll grab some of those links and drop those in. And of course, I got Dakota and Ian here. We're going to pack up, grab the last few photos, and then go get ready for our live launch commentary. We're going to be going live roughly prior to the go, no go for prop load. So make sure you stay tuned for that and join us through the entire launch campaign of propellant loading with live views and commentary through launch, and for however long Starship survives through its actual flight, and then some post-launch commentary as well. But that's going to do it for us here live from the roadside at Starbase. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.